Hello Wastelanders and Vault Dwellers, and welcome back to another video on my channel. I'm your host Tupper the Fallout Guy. Today we're diving deep, way deeper than just rusted hulls and concrete floors. What looks like just another ruin soaked in seaweed and sorrow. Turns out, it holds one of the strangest, saddest, and most unsettling stories in all of Fallout 4. And what we find inside isn't just rusted steel or sunken history. It's Rory Rigwell, and the man who walked away from humanity and found a strange kinship in the deep. A ship hand, a drifter, some say a lunatic. Others, a mirelurk whisperer. But one thing's for sure. Whatever happened in there didn't just change Rory. It redefined what it means to survive. Now before we go too deep, I know what you're thinking. Tupper, are we really about to spend 15 minutes talking about a guy in long johns who tried to befriend radioactive seafood? Yes, we are. Because this story, this one's different. It's tragic, it's ridiculous, and it's so Fallout. In the Wasteland, some folks worship caps, others worship radiation, and some worship things with far too many legs. Our story takes us to the Irish Pride Industries Shipyard located in East Boston. Before the war, it was a thriving industrial shipyard that probably built and repaired vessels and run by Irish-American workers. But now, it's just another skeleton in the Commonwealth's graveyard. You might have passed by the Irish Pride Industries Shipyard without thinking much of it. A rusted-out wreck of a dockyard, filled with radiation and, of course, mirelurks. To get there, you'll have to cross the Charles River west of the shipyard. The shipyard today is swarming with all sorts of insects. The moment you step foot outside the shipyard, bloodbugs swarm you like it's their last meal, and maybe it is. Just outside the main building, there are two shacks falling apart from years of harsh weather and neglect. This being a shipyard, we find some ships still clinging to the docks like memories that can't let go. Inside one ship, a small stash of caps can be found aboard a few, and there are a few more sunken ships resting on the bottom of the Charles River. But don't go diving. The ones sunk in the Charles are as empty as the promises from Vault Tech's brochures. You'll find a catwalk near the water and a raider corpse. The shipyard's southern wall has a massive door where ships once launched proudly into the river. Now, it's sealed and silent. To the north, there's a rusted parking lot littered with Corvegas, a Zip, and the comically named picker-up truck. Not many heavy-duty vehicles remain scattered around the Irish Pride shipyard. Whatever was here once has long since been taken or stripped down for scrap. If you've traveled west toward the West Everest Estates, you might start to notice why the trail of rust seems to end out that way. The West Everett Estates is highly fortified and infested with super mutants. It's a long, hard fight to clean the town of super mutants. You also notice that it seems to be defended in a hack sort of way. There are raider corpses all over the place, and there are a bunch piled up all over in the cooking area. I guess we're supposed to believe that the super mutants were eating people, one of the buildings. You notice a hatch that leads to what appears to be an underground shelter, opening the bunker hatch, then heading down the stairs into the bunker room, where it looks like people have lived for quite some time, and yet there are no skeletons, there are no bodies, there is a terminal. Through the bunker terminal, we learn the Tornquist family became known for one thing: survival through sheer determination. To get the biggest part of their defenses built in a single night, they stole a couple of trucks from the Irish Pride shipyard nearby. Nobody ever asked how Leon knew his way around a hot wire, but he did. Lance directed the effort, having the trucks pulled up along the edge of the yard to form the first stretch of their wall. Of course, it wasn't flawless. One truck flipped, nearly taking out the house, but by the end of the month the wall was finished. Since then, the Tornquists kept strict watch shifts, and for the first time in years, their children were able to step outside safely again. For the family, that wall wasn't just protection, it was a chance at normal life. We learned that together, Wayne Lance Ames and Lance's brother Leon built the fortifications in the West Everett Estates that you see when you arrive at the location, but one misstep led to the fall of West Everett Estates when Leon and his brother Lance were scouting looking for resources. They came upon a group of rough-looking men and accidentally revealed the location of the West Everett Estates soon after the town was attacked by what appears to be the earliest form of raiders. If you'd like to learn more about the Tornquist family, I left a direct link in the description of this video. Pretty desperate survival. Classic Fallout. On the eastern side, there's another shack leading to a master locked door, but we'll save that entrance for later. We're going in through the main lobby. What hits you first isn't the smell of rust or mold, it's the bones. arm bones, leg bones, a hand on the desk like someone was halfway through paperwork when time stopped. You don't normally see bones this scattered, not unless something or someone was sorting them. Into the supply closet, we stumble across more bones, leg bones, hand bones, even a pelvis. Strange to say the least. Moving down the hallway, we come across a small office. Judging by the setup, it belonged to a manager, or maybe the boss, of the Irish Pride Shipyard. But what really catches the eye isn't the furniture, it's the human remains scattered around the room. Something here definitely doesn't add up. On the desk, though, a little bonus. A bobby pin box. If you're running low, grab it now. You're gonna need it soon. Back into the hallway, we push farther down and discover a bathroom. Another supply closet sits inside, but what's waiting there? A busted camera and more bones. At this point, you can't help but wonder, what on earth happened in this place? Turning around, we notice a locked door. Perfect time to put that bobby pin to work. With a little finesse, the lock gives way, revealing a kitchen beyond. This area isn't much better. A mirelurk hatchling crawling over tables, a Nuka-Cola Quantum, some alcohol bottles, and some animal paintings on the wall next to the refrigerator. On the right side of the kitchen is a bathroom. Let's check that bathroom stall. And what do we find? A mirelurk hatchling crawling right out of the bathroom stall. In the toilet, half a cracked mirelurk egg and a plunger. Either that thing just hatched, or somebody tried to flush that horror away. In the locker room to the south, you'll find more hatchlings and even more bones. Ribs, spine, hand bones, all seemingly arranged, not random. Then stepping into the dry dock, it all clicks. Alright, let's dig in and start unraveling the mystery of Rory Rigwell, because the deeper you go, the stranger it all gets. What starts off feeling like just another oddball Wastelander tale slowly turns into something much more. Years later, that place he poured his soul into, it became a sanctuary. At least that's what Rory Rigwell wanted it to be. Rory was a man on a mission, a self-proclaimed mirelurk whisperer, the sort of guy who'd rather talk to a crab than pull a trigger.
Only meanies eat
But
meat.
out here in the wasteland, you don't survive just because you've got a gun. You survive because you expect things to go sideways, because you assume the worst, because you look at something with claws and think, yeah, probably gonna eat me. But every now and then, there's someone who doesn't think like that, someone who sees beauty in the irradiated beast, someone who thinks the mirelurks just need a hug. And that someone was Rory Rigwell. Rory wasn't a soldier, he wasn't a Vault Tech exec, he wasn't even a quest giver, he was just a dude, a weird, long-haired, duct-tape-wrapped dude with a dream. He believed mirelurks, those bug-eyed, armor-shelled, snippy little crab bastards, weren't really killers, just misunderstood. And so, in one of the boldest and most baffling experiments in the Wasteland, he set out to prove that mirelurks could actually be tamed. What followed was a story of obsession, tragedy, and one man's dream of turning a radioactive death trap into a dry dock sanctuary. With a jury-rigged announcement system that played messages meant to soothe and encourage his beloved mirelurks, instead of the usual warnings or security alerts. Rory's broadcast filled the air with this strange mix of calming affirmations, bizarre pep talks, and gentle reassurances, all directed at the shell horrors lurking beneath the docks. These weren't just random musings either. Rory had a method to his madness. He believed that if he could continuously expose the mirelurks to only positive messages, he could condition them into becoming non-violent. He would speak to them as if they were his children, praising them, assuring them they were loved, and encouraging them to be kind. It was in theory a noble idea, but in practice it was a death wish. Day after day Rory would walk among the docks, speaking softly to the young mirelurks, whom he affectionately called his little murkies. He would feed them, care for them, and document their behaviors. To any outsider it must have seemed like sheer madness. Rory Rigwell thought he had it all figured out. Taming mirelurks, turning them into his own personal family pets like a dog. And the thing is, the mirelurks, they don't immediately attack when you show up there. Sometimes they pause, like they're waiting. For him, like maybe somewhere in that hive mind, they remember. That's spooky and sad and, yeah, kind of beautiful in a Fallout sort of way. Now, here's where it gets even more interesting. Rory Rigwell, he's based on a real guy. Timothy Treadwell, an environmentalist who spent 13 summers living with grizzly bears in Alaska. He loved them, believed they were peaceful, tried to live among them like they were friends, until they weren't. Timothy and his girlfriend were both killed and eaten by the bears he trusted. Sound familiar? Long hair, gentle voice, talking to monsters like they were just misunderstood. Alliterative names, Rory Rigwell, Timothy Treadwell. Both died because they thought nature could be tamed by kindness. And Fallout, being the savage poet it is, took that story and put it right in the middle of a flooded shipyard in Boston, just to make sure we wouldn't forget it. There's no quest, no reward, no journal entry, just a corpse, a gun that was never fired, and speakers that still play a ghost hopeful voice. That's the thing about Fallout. Sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones hidden in corners. No dialogue tree, no quest complete, just pain and a lesson. Maybe it's about the dangers of blind belief. Maybe it's about seeing beauty in the broken. Or maybe it's just about a guy who tried to love something that didn't love him back. But hey, they say love is blind. But in Rory's case, it was radioactive, had claws, and turned Rory into food. Guess in the end, blind love didn't just hurt him, it ate him alive. Should have swiped left on the mirelurk. Would you live alongside monsters that would likely eat you in the end? But here's the better question. Have you ever tried to vats a mirelurk in the face only to realize their face is somehow behind their shell? Yeah, that's the kind of trauma we're unpacking in this tragic story of Rory Rigwell and his little murkies. For the sake of this video, we'll be focusing specifically on the mirelurks you'll encounter inside the Irish Pride Industries Shipyard. But if you're craving more crustacean chaos, I've left a direct link to my other video, where I uncover every type of mirelurk across all the Fallout games. In-universe mirelurks are mutated versions of real-world aquatic creatures, mainly the horseshoe crab and the blue crab, with just a splash of radioactive. What the hell is that? Now back to where it all went sideways, the Irish Pride Industries Shipyard. This rusted-out wreck of a dockyard is crawling with more than just bad memories. It's where Rory's love for crustaceans turned catastrophic, and where his story really begins to crack open. Let's talk about the creatures that call this place home, the mirelurks. Softshell mirelurk. These are the green, weaker cousins of the bunch, the kind you run into early on before the Wasteland decides you've suffered enough. But don't get cocky. They may look soft, but they can still tear you up in groups. Cook their meat, and you'll get more healing than from the tougher variants. Strangely enough, mirelurk, the standard variant, this is the classic model, darker, tougher, and meaner than the soft shells. They hit harder, take more punishment, and are far more aggressive. Standard issue nightmares of the deep, mirelurk kill claw. Now we're talking serious business. These beasts don't mess around. Bigger, stronger, and much more dangerous than the average razor claw. If you see one, you'd better hope you've packed some serious firepower, or your last words might just be, I thought it was just a crab. Mirelurk hunter. Now we're getting spicy. Larger, faster, beefier. These look like lobsters that fell into a vat of FEV and came out pissed. Mutated from the local lobster population, these things are no joke. Covered in thick armor, they launch acidic spit at you like a death claw with a seafood allergy. And they're surprisingly good at ruining a good stealth build. Lore note, they're likely based on lobsters, not crabs, because even the sea has elite units. And I gotta ask, is it just me? Or do hunters know exactly when you've got low health and no stim packs? They're brutal in close combat, their heads are tougher than most Deathclaw's egos, and they'll tank a headshot like it's a love tap. You'll often find them lurking in Nightmare Fuel, hot zones, like Spectacle Island or deep underground during a big dig.
Did you just see
if you run into one of these, just know Rory did too.
Bobby can take
and
this
look where
job
he
and
ended
shove
up.
it. Good
Fun
luck
fact,
down
these
there.
are believed to be mutated horseshoe crabs. Mirelurk hatchlings, tiny, annoying, everywhere. These mole crab-inspired ankle biters burst from eggs like they've been waiting for you specifically. Ever had your last bit of health taken out by one of these? Congratulations, you've reached peak Fallout, or the popcorn of the Wasteland. Except instead of butter, it's panic, and instead of salt, it's crippling radiation poisoning. Fun Fallout fact time. You know that real-life creature behind all this? The humble, ancient, incredibly weird-looking horseshoe crab? They've been around for over 450 million years. That's older than dinosaurs, older than Vault Tech, older than your grandma's favorite sugar bombs recipe. But here's where it gets wild. Their blood, bright blue, like glowing Nuka-Cola quantum blue. And get this, that blood has saved lives. Scientists use it in something called the LAL test, which checks vaccines for dangerous bacteria. Yep, every shot you've taken that didn't melt your insides, thank a horseshoe crab. They may be terrifying in the Wasteland, but in the real world, they're the unsung heroes of modern medicine. So next time you're unloading a clip into a screeching mirelurk in Fallout, Just remember their great-great-great-great-granddaddy might have helped test your flu shot. So there you have it. From lobster berserkers to sonic turtle wizards, Mirelurks are Fallout's most flavorful trauma. Now I want to know, which Mirelurk ruined your best day in Fallout? Was it the one that clipped your leg mid-reload? Or the acid spitter that popped up during your romantic radstag hunt? Drop your seafood horror stories in the comments. Well folks, we barely crawled out of Rory Rigwell's crabby obsession in one piece. But here we are, still standing, still slightly damp. So it's time we scuttle a little deeper into the radioactive tide pools of Fallout lore. So Rory Rigwell was a lover of Mirelurks who believed they were not violent, just misunderstood. In his endeavors to raise a peaceful Mirelurk colony, he installed an announcement system in the Irish Pride Industries Shipyard's dry dock, from which he would transmit only positive messages for his Mirelurks. Several of these messages were designed to encourage nonviolent behavior. Now, stepping into the dry dock, we see half-completed ship rests on the platform. But above, over the PA system, a voice begins to speak.
Grow up gentle and giant, so
Cheerful, reassuring, calm. Someone's still here, or was. This is where we meet Rory Rigwell, a man who believed in second chances, even for Mirelurks. You'll hear more of his messages echo through the dock as you explore strange, soothing instructions for his little murkies. He speaks in the third person, like a host talking about a guest. Or maybe a man slowly losing grip on reality. Hop up on the roof. Jetpack optional, pipes available, and you'll find a skeleton with a duffel bag, probably a scavenger trying to escape. Vodka bottles nearby suggest he didn't die sober. Around the ship you'll find a legendary Mirelurk kill claw, caps, containers, and then a scene so surreal it almost feels fake. A skeleton playing checkers with a teddy bear, the bears winning, of course, red caps versus white. Someone had time to make a statement, or lost their mind trying. So, inside the ship itself, you got tables, lockers, and even a Taboo Tattoos magazine just sitting there. Then you want to head up to the control room. That's basically Rory's bedroom. And there you'll find Rory's terminal where, well, it all kind of spills out. So, here's the dark truth of Rory's experiment. Turns out, he wasn't just raising Mirelurks for the heck of it. There was something deeper going on, something he didn't want folks to know about. It's a little unsettling, honestly, but that's just the way things go out here sometimes. Breeding notes. Rory's real proud of his colony of orphaned Mirelurks. He claims they've grown strong from love and kindness. Yeah, that's what he says. Feeding notes. His murkies are, well, always hungry. Rory's got to throw food real far just to avoid getting pinched. But he insists, they don't mean any harm. So, security notes. He talks about keeping his valuables tucked away in the Mirelurk nest. And, yeah, mentions there was a recent break-in. But honestly, he seemed more worried about his pet's safety than about the folks they ended up killing. Announcement system. It was just, positive reinforcement all the time. Nothing but feel-good phrases pumped through the speakers like 24/7. Rory tried to raise Mirelurks with love, but let's be real, these weren't puppies. They were monsters, raised in captivity, loyal only to their instincts. Was he feeding them human meat? Hard to say. The bones around the facility seem placed, displayed, preserved. Did he arrange them, or were the Mirelurks decorating? Head to the nest under the ship. 2 Mirelurks attack immediately. Push deeper into the mud and you'll find Rory's body next to a massive steamer trunk. Looks like he came to retrieve something. Rory loved his Mirelurks so much he was blinded with love. He couldn't see past their beady little eyes, even called them Rory's little murkies. But in the end, they murked a little too hard, and now Rory is just another forgotten name in the Wasteland. Here's where it all ended. The ship's belly, where Rory stored his treasures. Looks like he was trying to stash something one last time, but his little murkies had other plans. One moment he was their master, the next he was dinner. If the rotting corpse of Rory Rigwell weren't proof enough, the smell sure is. A man who thought he could tame the wild, reduced to just another pile of waste. Rory Rigwell, found in a pile of Mirelurks shit. Guess they left him the only respect a predator gives its prey digestion. Rory Rigwell didn't die in a blaze of glory. He didn't save a settlement or take down a raider gang. He just believed too hard, too long, in something that couldn't understand him. And in the end, the thing that made him different was the thing that got him killed. But hey, at least he went out doing what he loved. Well, technically, he went out being eaten by what he loved, which is less inspiring. But you get the idea. So let this be a lesson, Wastelanders. You can train a beast all you want, but the second it stops seeing you as its master, you're just another meal. So next time you pass through East Boston and you hear a broken speaker crackle to life with the voice of a man who called crustaceans his kids, stop, listen, smile. Because in a world where war never changes, Rory Rigwell did, even if only for a while. And if you ever find yourself standing over his twisted corpse, wondering how it all went so wrong, just remember the words he left behind.
Paws are for hugging, not pinching.
Well, that's our episode for today. Thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end. What do you think about Rory Rigwell? Was he smart for believing he could tame Mirelurks? Was he brave? Or just a fool walking sideways into fate? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. And hey, if you enjoyed this strange little trip through the Wasteland, smash that subscribe button. And while you're at it, ring that bell so you never miss another tale from Tupper the Fallout Guy. And remember, no matter what you're going through out there, in the ruins or in real life, you're not alone in the Wasteland. It's not exactly the world we used to know, but you know it's home now. Stick with me, and I'll show you how to survive out here. Life out here is tough, no doubt about it. Every day is a struggle, and, well, sometimes it feels like the world is just out to get you. But if you keep your head up and stay sharp, you can make it through. Even in all this mess, there's still hope if you look for it. Sometimes it's just a friendly face or a safe place to rest your head. Trust me, it's those little things that keep you going out here. You know, sometimes the only way forward is to look back. The world we knew is gone, but the lessons we learned, well, those stick with us. We remember what worked, what failed, and honestly, what kept us going when things got rough. It's not always easy, but hey, that's how we grow stronger, right? Out here, nobody makes it alone. We lean on each other, sharing what little we have and watching each other's backs. It's not just about surviving, it's about finding hope in the people around us. Together we can face whatever comes our way, and maybe even build something better. I'm Tupper the Fallout Guy, and until next time, stay safe, stay weird, and stay rad. I'll catch you in the next one.